Before I begin the video, I just want to flag, as always, that I am not a qualified financial advisor and nothing I say should be considered as financial advice. Hello, I'm the Geordie Saver and my partner and I are on a mission to overpay our mortgage and pay it off as quickly as possible. So this is my video series where I go through our mortgage overpayments. So jumping straight into the June figures, we started the month with £105,768 left on the mortgage. We made our standard payment of £510 and then made an overpayment of £581. Now, £490 of this overpayment came out on the first day of the month as part of my standard payment. So I opted for us to pay £1,000 a month instead of the £510. So £490 of that was a optional overpayment, and then the additional £81 came from some auto saves and some rewards that we achieved through the Sprive mortgage overpayment app. So I'll link the link to my review of the Sprive app in the comments down below if you want to have a look about what that app is. But basically it's a mortgage assistant tool and it links up with your bank account and it automatically transfers some money across from your bank to an overpayment pot that you can then send across to your mortgage. So I have an auto save on of £25 per month and my partner has an auto save on of £25 per month on his account. And then some of the other features is that when we do our weekly shop, we can use rewards with Sprive to get cash back that we can use as overpayments. And then the other thing is that I think I got £25 this month from people using my referral code. So for every 3 people that sign up to the app using my referral code, I get £25 towards an overpayment. So that's where the overpayments came from. And then the interest was £100. So there was 30 days in June. So that's why there's £5 difference between May and June, because May has 31 days in. But it's more than just that as well, because we've been overpaying and because the balance is coming down, it means that the interest that accrues on the mortgage is less each month now. I'm really looking forward to hopefully this consistently being under £100. So I'm hoping that in the next few months I'll get to the level where we consistently say that less than £100 accruing on the mortgage. Now, in some way, like at the moment, this is probably I class this, so this is a personal opinion, I sort of class the interest that's accruing, that's sort of the true cost. That plus the maintenance I have to do on my property is probably the true cost of owning the property, because theoretically, any money that's paying back the loan, like the mortgage, if I was to sell the property tomorrow, as long as it's kept the house price that I bought it at, it means that I get that money back. But obviously the interest, unless it increased in value, the property, I don't get the interest money back, nor do I get the home maintenance costs back. So that's what I sort of view as the sort of true cost of the property. So really, because I'm on a very low interest rate, this is very small at the moment. But what I'm trying to think of is in 2 years' time, when I come off my current fix and I have to remortgage, my current interest rate is 1.16%. That could jump up to 4 or 5%. So it could go to being a couple of £100 accruing on the mortgage each month. So if I'm going to pretend that my interest rate, was 4%, so that'd be 4,000 over the year, and then if I divide that by 12, so I could be jumping up to a in monthly interest of £353. So that's why I'm finding it important at the moment to really get down my mortgage balance as quickly as possible, so that when I come to remortgage to a new interest rate, it's a smaller balance that'll be accruing the interest. So the end balance at the end of the month was £104,777, which meant that the balance paid off in the month was £991. So I was really happy with that. I think I mentioned on all the previous videos that our goal is to get our mortgage balance below £100,000. So it'll be moving from having a 6-figure mortgage to a 5-figure mortgage, which I think will be really motivating for us to know that we've sort of shifted the balance. So in terms of our total figures, so at the start of this year we had just under £111,000 left on the mortgage. We made £3,000 in standard payments and £3,771 in overpayments. So I am quite proud of the fact that we've managed to overpay by more than we were contracted to pay. And then the interest that accrued on the mortgage in the first 6 months of the year was £618, so not really much at all. And then the end balance, as I said, was just under £105,000. So that means that the balance we've managed to pay off so far this year is just over £6,000. So some stats. So, and this is the really exciting one. Last month, the total overpayment so far was £24,828, but we have hit the milestone that I've been working towards for so many months now, and that is that we have went over £25,000 in mortgage overpayments. So since we started overpaying our mortgage a couple of years ago, through our monthly overpayments, it's built up now to where we've overpaid by £25,409, which is amazing. And the balance of our mortgage that we paid off this year so far has been 6%. Now, I've changed the options on our mortgage. Again, this is personal preference, and it's not advice, but I've changed it so that when we make an overpayment, it reduces the term of our mortgage. And when I made this change earlier on in the year, when our overpayments sort of were above £500 as kind of like lump sum overpayments, I saw immediately a reduction in the mortgage end date. But because the overpayments have been kind of made up of little chunks, my theory is because this isn't changing, it's because I'm not making an overpayment big enough to trigger the term reduction showing up. So I assume that when we come to remortgage at the end of 2026, that's when we'll see the true sort of impact of the mortgage payments in terms of the end date. But at the moment, as it stands, we've got just under 20 years officially left on the mortgage. But as I talked about in these videos, my plan is to pay off our mortgage before that end date. So yeah, I thought what I'd do is probably just as a sort of hypothesis, I'm actually going to put this over here. So say if I hadn't made any mortgage overpayments, and then in 2 years' time we were to remortgage with that higher capital balance. So say the higher outstanding mortgage balance. So say instead of having 105,000 left on, we had nearly 130, so £25,000 more. The impact of 4% on that extra mortgage that we need, that would be £1,000 per year. So 4% times by 25,000 is £1,000. So the way I look at these overpayments is that it's going to be saving us £1,000 per year at a 4% interest rate. And you can imagine that if I've got 2 years time, I'll have 18 years left. If I do 18 times by this, it's going to, my overpayments may have saved us, our overpayments may have saved us £18,294. Now, this is all very kind of non accurate calculations, because as you can imagine, who knows what interest rates are going to do. I'm assuming 4% here for the full lifetime of the mortgage. they probably will go up and down. So some years maybe 4%, they might drop, they might go up to 5%. I don't know, but the idea is, that this is money that it's like a future saving, and that's been really the impact that I've been trying to achieve with our mortgage overpayments, because this money will be more money that's in our back pocket that we can put towards other areas. I mean, quite honestly, if you want to look at it, that's maybe if we spend a grand on a holiday, a UK holiday each year, say, that's 18 UK holidays that's now paid for because of the overpayments. So that's that. And then the other thing I just wanted to flag is that I'm kind of mulling over at the moment what we do with our overpayments when we get below £100,000. I think I've been very tunnel vision focused on overpaying our mortgage and getting our mortgage balance to zero. But the only problem for me with that is that we've become very asset rich, but cash sort of light in that sense. So you'll have seen on my other videos that the sort of cash that we've got access to across savings, investments, and premium bonds is around around £9,000, £9,000 to £10,000 at the moment, which would mean that in terms of being financially free, we're not, that would sustain us for, well, it would say if it could sustain us collectively together for about 6 months, say. So one of the things I'm considering is maybe once we get to below £100,000, directing more of our savings towards the sort of immediately liquid assets. So things like things that we could liquidize if needed, if we both lost our jobs. So that's something that we are considering. So because I think even just building a cash emergency fund, having that to be £6,000 to £10,000 would reduce a lot of the sort of mental headache I have about worrying about money, because if I knew that if I lost my job tomorrow, I could sustain myself for a year with my cash emergency fund, I think that would give us a bigger peace of mind than knowing I'm going to be mortgage free a year earlier. Because really, if I'm honest, the mortgage at the moment is £510. Even in 2 years, if I'm at a higher interest rate, it's still probably only going to go up to maybe £750. And bearing in mind there's two of us paying the mortgage, that's still going to be less than £400 as a cost to me individually. So in the grand scheme of things, with that's probably represents less than 20% of my wage. So having savings and being able to pay for a rainy day or periods of unemployment is probably a bit more beneficial to me, and probably does me more good than just being able to say that I'm mortgage free. So those are some thoughts at the moment, but I think with anything, I sometimes have to play it out in my head a bit, sit with it, see how I feel about it, and then I'll come to a decision. But at the moment, the aim over the next few months is to I'm trying to build up my emergency fund, but I'll also be trying to kind of at least pay off the mortgage interest of the mortgage. So I'll stop there. If you've got any comments, any thoughts, drop them in the comments box down below, and I'll see you on the next video. If you enjoyed this video, then please think about subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'm on a mission to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I'm currently on 676 subscribers.